Greetings guys, and welcome to my newest interior design project for Aaron Longstaff. Quick thank you to Aaron for continuing to let me work on his projects. I always have so much fun working on your builds. Now, if you came here from his how-to on the Nordic house build, just note that my design how-tos are slightly different. Because I only have one shot to decorate, my footage is creative in nature. So it took me 8 hours to complete this design, and I had over 200 gigabytes of video to edit through. Now, unfortunately, a very small chunk of that video right in the middle of the build did become corrupt and I couldn't add it. But that's okay. I'll be sure to comment on the important instructions or structures that were missing, but mostly they were decorative items such as flags, trophy mounts, and wall torches, which I'm pretty sure you can piece together from the final shots. It took me 3 days to create and edit this video. During that time, I tried to cut through the fat of missteps and item selections, but you will still see some mistakes in my building as I was designing live, and I didn't want to confuse you with items shown out of context. So, if you plan to replicate this design, I do recommend that you watch the whole thing first, so you don't accidentally repeat one of my mistakes. Now, unlike Aaron's build tutorial, I'm not going to instruct you step by step, but rather comment on my process and provide instruction whenever necessary. So, when I first approach a design, I try to pick out a color scheme first. This doesn't always stick, and you of course can repaint later. However, I find that if you do not have the option of ghosting, painting is much easier before you start putting in structures. Now, Aaron prefers a more natural, muted color scheme. So for this design, as you saw, I stuck to a color scheme of mud, brown, slate, brick, and cantaloupe for the exterior. Now, when I'm satisfied I've got a good color scheme, I then start tackling the interior design. Now this is a small build. I had 15 foundations and not much headroom for a second floor. I did toss around the idea of a loft, but instead I decided to break up the space into zones. Now, here's my tip. Whenever you have a space that you're struggling to fill, whether it's large or small, splitting it up into zones is an excellent first step and will definitely help you with your design. I find it's also very helpful to keep in mind the size of your tribe. As you can see from this particular design, I tend to decorate smaller builds as if it was for a solo player. The designs are jam-packed with everything you need in the game. However, having more than one person try to use the items might prove to be a tight squeeze, if not an impossible challenge. Just a quick note here, when I want to place items under something else like a table or a workbench, I often switch back and forth between the top and bottom structure to make the best judgment of placement so that they fit together well. One thing I did cut out during the editing process is that after every time I used clipping to stick items closer together, I always went back to check to make sure that I didn't go too far and that the items were still usable. There were a few times during this design that I had to delete and try again. And as I've said in my Decorations 101 videos, I find that when it comes to clipping, try not to overlap the two structures more than 50% of the way. It seems that once you pass that middle mark, the items become unusable. If you've seen my other decoration videos, then you've seen me use crop plots to layer in other items. I do that twice in this design, once here on this table and the other outside to place overlapping woodsheds on uneven ground. If you don't know what I'm talking about, be sure to check out my Decorating 101 video, Lesson 3, Plants and Crop Plots. I promise you, you'll find it helpful. And just as a side note, those crop plots are still usable. Okay, here is one of my design mistakes. I go on to place my final fireplace and shelving, only to realize that I wanted to use the stairs method to create a large seating area. Whoops! So remember, start your couch first before you work on the fireplace. And if you want to know more about how you can use stairs to create fun furniture, I have another video for that. Decorating 101 Lesson 1, Chairs, Couches, and Lounges. Go check it out. Alright, we're approaching the section of the design that got corrupted, so I'm going to do my best to explain what I did. I'm talking about the small bedroom. There's not much to it item-wise. I placed one bed, 2 bookshelves, 1 lumber chair, 1 modern storage on top of a modular table, and I decorated it with a simple mirror wall torch combo. The important thing that I wanted to point out was something that I discovered during this design, and it is so cool to me that I'm going to explore its uses further and make a Decorating 101 video just on it alone. What I'm talking about is the new S Plus items of fence supports, because they allowed me to create walls for my tiny bedroom that was exactly 1.5 foundations long. That's right. The fence supports can create their own snap points even when being placed on top of foundations. And I think there is a lot of building potential in this fact, and it needs more experimentation, which I plan on doing. So I do apologize for missing video footage, but I can definitely circle back to this design when I present the benefits of decorating with fence support structures in a future video. 2 quick notes on plumbing. 1, when I'm building in PVP, I usually establish a plumbing system within my walls and foundations using a lowered foundation. But since I'm working on an already completed build in PvE, I'm not going to take the time to show you how I ghosted into the ground and walls in order to set up the plumbing. 2, notice that I faced a certain way to place the straight pipe so that my tap was facing the correct way on top of that cauldron. So just know, I'm going to be covering pipes in an upcoming Decorating 101 video, so keep an eye out for it. There's those fence support structures again. I'm using them here to create a really interesting, slightly artistic divide or partition between the work area and the kitchen area. Notice that the pillars will snap not only to the sides, but to the center of these fence support structures, and it doesn't have to be in the ground. It'll snap to one however many support structures high. Interesting, no? In case you've never seen me do this before, as another decorating option, I've combined a trophy mount and a mirror together as their meshes combine in a really interesting way. Just note that if you can't ghost, place your trophy mount first and paint it before you place the mirror. Otherwise, you won't be able to access the mount afterwards. Once I'm done placing items, I finish up the design by working on lighting, plants, and any finishing touches to the paint. Well, that's it, the completed design. I hope you enjoyed this video and found some helpful tips for when you either recreate this design or come up with one of your own. If you'd like to see more helpful decorating videos, remember to like and subscribe. You can also join the growing decorating community on my Discord, where we can exchange ideas and show off our creative designs. The link is going to be in the description below. So thanks for coming and watching my interiors for Erin's Nordic house. I'll see you next time.